I mean, financialization in the very limited sense just refers to the way that financial capital takes on more and more of a hold over the capitalist economy. The way I use financialization is to understand it as a cultural and social process, which is the way finance infiltrates its way into everyday life in more and more profound and insidious ways. So for instance, the fact that we're all now in incredible debt, that we live our lives under the shadow of credit, that we increasingly are forced to imagine all parts of our lives as investments. So education is no longer a social good, it's an investment in the future. We have to understand all of our lives as sort of cost-benefit analysis. So financialization in a limited sense just refers to what's going on with the preponderance of speculative capital within the general share of different types of capital in a capitalist economy. In a broader sense though, it has to do with the way finance is totally reorganizing our society. In an age where where major corporations own practically everything, and those themselves are tied into the financial markets as never before. Well, I think primarily what financialization does is it changes our social notion of what's possible and what the future might hold. Because if our future is always colonized by finance, in the sense that we're always thinking about, we never have a chance to think about new social projects, we're just thinking about debt. We're constantly haunted by this sense that our future is already foreclosed by, our personal levels of debt, by government levels of debt. Governments are constantly talking about just paying down deficits, paying down debts. There's no broader social vision that's possible, or very little social vision that's possible. And sort of the future, our individual futures and our social futures really narrow to this sort of endless now of neoliberal exploitation without end. I think in that circumstance, unfortunately, there's a number of very negative effects on how people imagine resistance. First of all, most people imagine resistance as completely futile, and that's partly just because of that existential experience of debt and financialization that means that we have a hard time envisioning what the future might look like. I think, so that's on the one side. On the other side, we have a general mass forgetting of past movements, how they got out of situations much like this. But thirdly, I think there's another tendency, which is even more worrisome in some senses, which is that when we have this sort of the future collapsing to this endless now, we get really bad forms of resistance that are very gestural, and they're very much based in just trying to get a reaction out of the forces of the state.